Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating subject, the scope of bioinformatics. If you have ever wondered how scientists make sense of the massive amounts of data hidden inside our DNA, you are in the right place. We are going to explore how computers and biology team up to solve some of the biggest mysteries of life. Let us get started. To begin, I want you to imagine that you are handed a massive, heavy book. This book contains exactly 3 billion letters, but there are no spaces, no punctuation, and only 4 letters used over and over again: A, C, T, and G. Now, imagine trying to read this book to find a single spelling mistake that causes a genetic disease. It would take you multiple lifetimes of just staring at pages. This is exactly what the human genetic code looks like to biologists when they first extract it from a cell. It is an overwhelming amount of information. Because of this overwhelming complexity we just discussed, we cannot rely on human eyes alone. We need the lightning-fast processing power of computers. This brings us to the definition of bioinformatics. It is an interdisciplinary scientific field that develops and applies software tools, algorithms, and computational methods to analyze and interpret biological data. Instead of working with test tubes and microscopes in a traditional physical laboratory, bioinformaticians work in a digital environment. They use servers, databases, and programming languages to transform raw, chaotic biological data into structured, meaningful knowledge. Now that we know what bioinformatics does, let us look at how it is built. On your screen, you see a Venn diagram illustrating the interdisciplinary nature of this field. Notice the 3 main circles: biology, computer science, and mathematics and statistics. Bioinformatics is the bright cyan region right in the center, where all 3 of these distinct fields overlap. It takes the biological questions from the first circle, the programming logic from the second, and the analytical power from the third. This unique combination is what makes it the ultimate bridge for modern scientific discovery. Understanding this interdisciplinary bridge helps us see why bioinformatics is so powerful in the real world. Its scope is absolutely massive because it touches almost every modern biological and medical advancement we see today. In the medical world, it is the absolute backbone of personalized medicine. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, doctors can now use computational tools to analyze a patient's tumor, identify the specific genetic mutations, and tailor cancer treatments exactly to that individual. It takes that overwhelming raw data and turns it into life-saving, actionable medical insights. Beyond personalized medicine, this field has a profound impact on our food and global health. In agriculture, scientists use bioinformatics to compare the genomes of different plants. By doing this, they can engineer crops that can survive severe droughts or resist devastating pests, which is crucial for feeding a growing planet. Furthermore, during global pandemics, bioinformatics is exactly what allows researchers to track how a virus mutates and spreads across the globe in real time. Without these computational tools, the mountains of data generated by modern sequencing machines would be completely useless. Having seen these incredible applications, we must ask, why do we need such powerful computers to do this? To truly understand the scope of bioinformatics, we must look at how biological data scales mathematically. As you know, DNA is made of 4 nucleotide bases: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. If we want to know how many unique DNA sequences of a certain length can possibly exist, we calculate something called the sequence space. This mathematical concept shows us the sheer volume of possibilities that bioinformatics algorithms must sift through when comparing genes. To calculate this sequence space we just discussed, we use a specific mathematical formula. The formula is n equals b raised to the power of L. Let us break down what each symbol means. N represents the total number of possible unique sequences that can exist. The variable b represents the base number of building blocks available. For DNA, this base is exactly 4 because we have 4 nucleotides. Finally, L represents the length of the sequence, meaning the number of nucleotides in the DNA strand. Because L is in the exponent, as the length of the DNA sequence increases, even slightly, the total number of possibilities explodes exponentially. Now that we have our formula, let us see it in action with a concrete example. Imagine a scientist is studying a very tiny segment of DNA that is only 10 nucleotides long. We want to know how many different possible combinations exist for this specific length. First, we identify our base, B. Since it is DNA, B equals 4. Next, we identify the length, L, which is given as 10. We substitute these values into our formula, giving us n equals 4 raised to the 10th power. This means multiplying 4 by itself 10 times. The final answer is 1,048,576. Even for just 10 letters, there are over 1 million combinations. That calculation we just performed reveals something astonishing. If a tiny snippet of just 10 letters creates over 1 million possible combinations, think about real life. Real human genes are thousands of letters long. When you plug those numbers into our sequence space formula, the number of possibilities becomes greater than the number of atoms in the universe. This exponential growth perfectly illustrates why the scope of bioinformatics absolutely requires supercomputers. A human could never check 1 million combinations by hand, let alone the near infinite possibilities of a full genome. So, we know the computational effort is massive, but what about the physical digital space required? Let us look at the formula for calculating genome data storage. The formula is total megabytes equals base pairs times 2 divided by 8 times 10 to the 6th power. Conceptually, this converts raw genetic letters into standard computer memory units. Let us define the symbols. Base pairs is the total number of nucleotides. We multiply by 2 because each letter requires 2 bits of memory. We then divide by 8 to convert bits into bytes, and divide by 1 million to convert bytes into megabytes. If the number of base pairs increases, the total megabytes required will increase proportionally. Let us calculate exactly how much space one genome takes up. We start by finding the total bits. We multiply the 3 billion base pairs by the 2 bits required per letter, giving us 6 billion bits. Next, we convert this massive number into bytes by dividing by 8, which gives us 750 million bytes. Finally, to make this number recognizable, we divide by 1 million to convert it into megabytes. The final answer is exactly 750 megabytes. This means the raw genetic code of a human being can easily fit on a standard CD-ROM or a small flash drive. While fitting a human genome on a flash drive sounds manageable, we must remember the true scope of our field. The challenge of bioinformatics is not just storing this 750 megabytes. The real work is comparing it against millions of other genomes to find tiny, single-letter differences that cause diseases. When you multiply this data by thousands or millions of patients, you quickly reach petabytes of data. This requires massive cloud computing infrastructure, proving that bioinformatics is truly a discipline of massive scale. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us summarize our key takeaways. First, bioinformatics is the essential bridge combining biology, computer science, and mathematics. Second, it is the only way we can turn overwhelming biological sequences into readable, actionable medical and scientific insights. Third, as we saw with the sequence space formula, genetic data scales exponentially, making computational power absolutely mandatory. As long as we continue to sequence DNA, bioinformatics will remain the most critical tool in modern biological research. You are now stepping into a field that literally decodes the secrets of life. Thank you for watching.